And welcome back to Houston Newsmakers, where I'm joined by Richard Elbine, the CEO of the Houston and Southeast Texas Alzheimer's Association. Good morning, and thank you for being here. This month, of course, is a special month of June, focusing on awareness for Alzheimer's and brain diseases. Let's talk about the Alzheimer's Association. What is the mission that you have?
Sure. So we have a three-part mission, and our first, probably one of our most important, what everyone cares about, is research to try and find better treatments and ultimately a cure. So we focus very much on that. The Alzheimer's Association is the largest private nonprofit funder of Alzheimer's research in the world. So we're very involved with Alzheimer's research. Second part is to support people who are affected by Alzheimer's disease. So the diagnosed individual and the caregivers, and then also working with healthcare professionals and ancillary professionals to make sure they understand the disease and know how to support those families affected.
I'm going to come back to that in a second, but I know that this is Awareness Month. What points about this disease and the circumstances around it would you most want people to be aware?
Well, first of all, that it is a disease, that when people see changes in a loved one where they're changing their cognitive abilities, they're forgetting things, maybe they're confused about time and place or getting lost, that they shouldn't just assume that's what happens when people get old, because we all know people who age gracefully and keep their memories until the day that they're in the grave. So we know that it's not normal. And generally what we do for issues that we see in a person that is not normal is we take them to a doctor and have them evaluated. Because while Alzheimer's disease is not curable, there are other causes of those changes that might be treatable or reversible. So we certainly don't want someone to suffer and get worse when it's an issue that could be treated and perhaps reversed.
There are a number of reports that I've seen in recent days that talk about a number of inroads in finding a cure for this disease. For example, this past week a report came out talking about controlling blood pressure, getting resistance training and aerobics for 2 to 3 hours a week, and to do cognitive training. But they said it was not the kind that's marketed in those, you know, I don't want to mention the name of one of those things, but they talk of some deeper, more effective cognitive kind of training. And I also saw a report about olive oil, extra virgin olive oil in diets being a way to kind of avoid some of those things. I suppose it's good to even have it talked about, but it is kind of confusing about the kinds of things that we can do to avoid.
Right. So the single biggest risk factor for Alzheimer's disease is aging. And since probably none of us want to control for that, we probably would all like to live a rich old age. So our risk increases as we age. Everything else would be minor compared to that risk. So what we're left with are, we can do some things that perhaps allow us to age and maintain our cognitive abilities. We don't have any intervention that we know prevents Alzheimer's. So as much as everyone would like to find the prevention, we don't have it yet. What we know is that there are things we can do that maintain a healthy brain. So for example, you're not going to prevent Alzheimer's from wearing a helmet when you're on a motorcycle or a bicycle. But we know that if you keep from having a head injury, you're going to have a healthier brain.
Right.
In the same way, we know that, for example, exercise is good to maintain a healthy brain. Every time your heart beats, the oxygen first goes to your brain to provide nutrients. So we know exercise is a positive in terms of maintaining a healthy brain. We also know there are people who were exercise fanatics and developed Alzheimer's, so it's not necessarily a prevention. So there are a lot of, you know, every time a study is done in a mouse and it looks like there's some benefit, it somehow gets translated into a media story that it prevents Alzheimer's.
Right.
First of all, humans are not mice.
Right.
And mice are mice and humans are humans. So we still need to do all of those trials and see whether whatever the intervention was that looked great in a mouse or a rat or a rabbit or a pig, whether it will actually work in a person. And so that's why we're sometimes so disappointed that we read this story. For example, someone just sent me a story about champagne, and that champagne was, well, you know, in a rat, they're probably very happy to have the champagne, but it's not clear that it's really, you could drink enough champagne to really make a difference and reduce the risk of Alzheimer's. So with regard to olive oil, I'll just say that there is good indication that the Mediterranean diet, which we're all familiar with, right. Of course the olive oil is a component of that, and we know that olive oil, monounsaturated fats, will reduce inflammation, for example, and inflammation may be part of the issues in Alzheimer's. So
we talk about trying to get people to understand what they can do to help you. You
sure.
just don't just help. What can people most do? Donations. I know I have. Know the 10 signs. Is this on your website?
It is.
Okay, I'm going to put a link to your
Great.
website because
Great.
it's very important. Know the 10 signs of Alzheimer's. And for donations, if we donate locally, does it stay locally?
So there goes really two places, and one is to support the local activities, you know, that support for people affected, and then part of it, of course, goes to support research, which we fund the best research on the planet, no matter where it is. Houston happens to have a lot of research funded by the Alzheimer's Association because we have such a big medical center.
I'm going to put up the information here now, so you can call 800 number, which is 272-3900, or the website, alz.org. You can find out more from there about all that you need. Everything you've been telling us this morning, we can find out on the website. Absolutely. This is going to be very helpful, not to ignore those signs when you see them in a loved one.
Right.
Very important. And also about the help that you give people who are diagnosed. That's very important as well.
Right.
Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank
Congratulations on what's happening so far. I hope we can help out. I hope this segment has helped in some way to help people get the information they need.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you again.